You cannot build a life you love by doing what feels easy today. True greatness comes from showing up every single day, even when no one is watching. I know what it feels like. The mornings when you hit snooze, the days when motivation disappears, the nights when you wonder if all this effort is even worth it. I've been there. We all have. But here's the truth: consistency is not about talent. It's about choices. And choices, when made daily, quietly shape destiny. Today, I want to share 7 rules, 7 truths to help you stay consistent every single day, not tomorrow. Today, too many people wait for the perfect moment to begin. They wait for tomorrow, for the conditions to be just right, for their energy to feel full, for inspiration to strike. And yet, the truth is, there is no perfect moment. Life rarely gives you a flawless starting line. The world will always be messy. Your schedule will always feel too tight, and your doubts will always whisper that you are not ready. But the journey of greatness begins not when everything feels perfect, but the moment you take a step forward, even when you are afraid, even when you feel small, even when you are unsure. Starting small is not a compromise, it is wisdom. It is understanding that the grandest achievements are never born in a day. They are the result of many small choices, repeated consistently over time. I remember meeting a young artist who dreamed of painting murals across the city. On his first day, he could barely draw a straight line. His brush seemed clumsy, his colors uncertain, his strokes timid. Yet he began. Every day he painted a little. At first it was almost invisible. Friends laughed, critics doubted, and he wondered if it was even worth trying. But he started. And over months, those small attempts became confident strokes. The timid colors became bold, and eventually he created murals that inspired an entire neighborhood. The power of starting small lies in its simplicity. When we look at a massive goal, it can feel overwhelming. The mountain seems too high, the path too long, the effort too great. Our minds panic, our hearts falter, and we convince ourselves that waiting is safer. But if you take one small step today and another tomorrow, suddenly the mountain becomes climbable. The long path becomes walkable. The enormous effort becomes manageable. Small steps are not insignificant. They are the building blocks of transformation. Start now. Do not wait to feel ready, because readiness is a myth. Action creates readiness. Courage does not arrive before you act. It is born in the act itself. There is a story of a runner who had never run a marathon. He was intimidated, he doubted himself, and he thought he needed months of preparation to begin. But one morning he put on his shoes and ran just 1 mile. That 1 mile, as small as it seemed, was the beginning of a journey that months later would take him across the finish line. Action, even tiny action, generates momentum. Momentum creates belief, and belief fuels consistency. Many of us overestimate what we can do in a day and underestimate what we can do in a year. We want dramatic results immediately. We want transformation overnight. But real, lasting change rarely arrives in a single leap. It is born in patience, in discipline, and in the courage to begin humbly. Start small and trust the process. Each small effort compounds. Each small choice shapes habits. Each habit shapes your destiny. The danger of waiting for perfection is not only that you delay progress, but also that you lose the chance to learn. Every action you take, no matter how small, teaches you something. You discover your strengths, you encounter your weaknesses, you face your fears, you adjust, you grow. Waiting for the perfect day denies you this growth. Every day you delay is a day your potential sits idle, untested, unlived. So start now. Start with whatever you have, wherever you are. Write a paragraph, take a single step, speak the first word, make the first call. The first act is not about success, it is about commitment. It is about showing yourself that you are willing to begin. Once you take the first step, the next step becomes easier. And the one after that, easier still. Small actions create habits. Habits create character. Character creates destiny. Remember, even the tallest tree in the forest began as a tiny seed. Even the greatest river began as a small trickle of water. Even the mightiest mountain climber started with one step on the trail. Do not underestimate the power of beginning. The act of starting is itself a declaration of faith. Faith in yourself, faith in the journey, faith that your life can change if you are willing to take the first step. No matter how small, start now. Begin where you are. Do not wait for permission, for the perfect moment, or for the flawless plan. The world moves forward in small steps, and so will you. If you dare to begin today, one small step, one humble choice, one action repeated day after day, and you will be amazed at how far it takes you. The journey begins not in grandeur, but in the quiet courage to start. Life moves fast. Days pass in a blur. We get caught in routines, in to-do lists, in endless tasks that pull us in 100 directions. And somewhere along the way, we forget to notice the beauty of the moments we are living. We treat our mornings, our work, our relationships as obligations rather than opportunities. But there is a secret to staying consistent, to showing up every single day. Make your actions sacred. Treat the small things, the everyday rituals, as acts of reverence, not mere chores. When you make something sacred, it transforms. Brushing your teeth is no longer just hygiene. Drinking your morning coffee is no longer just a caffeine fix. Writing, exercising, meditating, speaking to someone you love, all of these can become small ceremonies of commitment. When you treat the ordinary with reverence, consistency becomes effortless. It is no longer about discipline alone, it is about devotion. There is a quiet power in honoring what you do, no matter how small it may seem. I once met a teacher who woke up every day at 5 a.m., not because someone told her to, not because she was seeking fame or recognition, but because she believed that the early hours held a sacred space for reflection and learning. She didn't rush through her mornings. She sat with her thoughts, she wrote, she prayed, she organized her intentions. Then she entered her day with clarity, purpose, and focus. That small act, repeated day after day, transformed not only her life, but the lives of countless students she taught. The secret wasn't magic. It was devotion to the small, seemingly ordinary rituals of life. When you make your actions sacred, you elevate consistency from a mechanical process to a spiritual practice. You begin to see the divine in the everyday. You understand that each act, each moment is an opportunity to grow, to serve, to be better. Washing dishes, walking your dog, exercising, preparing a meal, even the smallest of tasks can become moments of mindfulness and presence. And when you are fully present, fully engaged, consistency stops feeling like effort. It becomes a natural extension of who you are. Faith, gratitude, and service grow in sacred routines. When you honor the ordinary, you train your heart to notice the extraordinary in life. You begin to see opportunities where others see monotony. You begin to act with intention rather than habit alone. And when actions are intentional, they become unstoppable. Think about a musician who practices for hours every day. The repetition is grueling, but it is done with devotion. Think about an athlete who trains in the early morning cold, running laps while the world sleeps. Every movement, every step, every note is sacred. And that sacredness fuels consistency. You may ask, how can the mundane feel sacred? It is a choice. It begins with awareness. To treat an action as sacred, you must slow down, you must notice it, you must honor it. Gratitude is the first step. Be thankful that you have the ability to take action, to work, to learn, to live. Reverence is the next. Understand that even small tasks have a purpose, that even ordinary routines shape your character. Presence is the final piece. Engage fully with what you are doing right now, without distraction, without hurry, without complaint. When you do this, every small effort compounds into a life of discipline, growth, and joy. Consistency is easier when you make it sacred. because it no longer depends on motivation alone. Motivation comes and goes like the weather. Some days you feel energized and inspired. Other days you feel exhausted and uninspired. Sacred routines transcend feelings. They are anchored in meaning, in purpose, in devotion. And when something is sacred, you show up whether you feel like it or not, because you are not merely completing a task, you are honoring a commitment to yourself, to your dreams, to your values, and to something greater than yourself. So slow down, treat the ordinary as extraordinary. Transform your daily routines into small acts of worship. Show up not just because you must, but because you choose to honor the process, to honor your life, and to honor your potential. Consistency is born in these sacred moments. The small rituals you nurture today create the foundation for the extraordinary life you are capable of living tomorrow. Make it sacred. Treat the ordinary with reverence. Bring intention, gratitude, and presence into each day. Do this, and you will find that showing up consistently is no longer a burden. It is a privilege, a blessing, and a path toward becoming the best version of yourself. And in the quiet devotion of your daily actions, you will discover a strength that is unshakable, a joy that is lasting, and a life that is truly remarkable. You see, life will never be completely comfortable. There is no path to greatness that is lined with ease. If you are waiting for a day when everything feels perfect, when every step is effortless, when every task is inspiring, then I have to tell you a truth: that day may never come. Comfort is a trap. Comfort is the place where dreams go to sleep. The world does not reward comfort, it rewards courage. And courage is found in discomfort. Discomfort is not a signal to stop. It is the signpost that says, growth is happening here, keep moving. Think about it. Every time you have faced a challenge in your life, every time your heart has raced with fear or doubt, those were the moments that defined you. Not the easy moments, not the days when everything went your way, but the days when you felt like quitting, when your body was tired, when your mind whispered excuses, when the world tested you, and yet you still took one more step. Those are the moments when character is forged, not comfort. I remember a story of a young monk I met once. He had spent years training his mind in silence, sitting for hours in meditation, even when his knees ached, even when the air was freezing, even when boredom and restlessness clawed at him. He told me, every time I wanted to stop, I realized that stopping would teach me nothing. Sitting through the discomfort is how I learn patience, how I learn focus, how I learn faith in the process. That is the essence of consistency. To embrace what is uncomfortable, to show up even when every part of you says no, to understand that struggle is not the enemy, but the teacher. Discomfort comes in many forms. It is physical. Maybe you want to exercise every day, but your body is exhausted. Maybe you want to write, to work, to create, but fatigue presses against you. It is emotional. Maybe someone criticizes you, or life doesn't treat you fairly, or your dreams feel out of reach. It is mental. Maybe your mind is crowded with doubt, fear, or old stories of failure. In all these moments, the temptation is to stop, to take the easy road, to retreat to comfort. And in retreating, the opportunity to grow slips away. But here is the secret. Discomfort is temporary, but regret lasts forever. The pain you feel when you embrace discomfort is fleeting. It passes. But the satisfaction, the confidence, the strength you gain from not giving up, those are permanent. They build quietly like muscles. Every time you choose discomfort, you strengthen your mind, your heart, your soul. You learn that fear is not a reason to stop, it is a reason to go. You learn that resistance is not a wall, it is a doorway. And every doorway you walk through takes you closer to the life you are capable of living. You may think you are weak. You may think you cannot endure. But here is the truth. Strength is not born in comfort. Strength is born in persistence, in courage, in showing up even when it is hard. Life will always test you. Every dream worth pursuing will demand it. And every time you rise to that demand, every time you face discomfort and move through it, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you imagined. Faith also grows in discomfort. When you feel lost, when the path is unclear, when your heart trembles with uncertainty, that is when belief matters most. Faith is not a feeling of ease. Faith is a choice to continue, even when the mind screams, even when the heart doubts. It is the quiet voice inside that says, "Keep going, I am with you." When you embrace discomfort, when you endure the struggle, when you choose courage over convenience, you are not just building a habit, you are building a life anchored in faith, resilience, and purpose. So the next time you feel resistance, the next time your mind argues with your purpose, the next time your body screams to stop, remember, discomfort is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It is the soil in which greatness grows. Every time you sit through the ache, every time you endure the uncertainty, every time you show up when it is hard, you are planting seeds that will one day bloom into the life you dreamed of. Embrace discomfort. Do not avoid it. Do not fear it. Lean into it with courage, with discipline, with patience, and with faith. For it is in discomfort that you will find the strength to rise, the clarity to continue, and the courage to transform your life, one brave choice at a time. Your mind is the soil in which every habit, every action, every dream takes root. If you do not guard it, if you do not feed it with care, weeds of doubt, fear, and negativity will grow silently, relentlessly, and they will choke the life out of your potential. Many of us focus on actions, on doing, on working harder, but we forget the invisible battlefield within, the constant stream of thoughts, images, and beliefs that shape every choice we make. Guarding your mind is not just about thinking positively, it is about protecting the quality of your inner world, because your outer world is only a reflection of it. Think of a garden. If you plant a seed and never water it, if you leave it exposed to storms and pests, will it grow? It might survive, but it will never flourish. The same is true of your mind. If you let fear, envy, worry, and distraction roam freely, they will rob you of clarity, they will erode your confidence, and they will sabotage your consistency. But if you nurture your mind with truth, wisdom, gratitude, and faith, it becomes fertile ground. Your thoughts become allies, your focus becomes sharper, and your actions become unstoppable. I remember a young man I met who wanted to change his life. He had goals, ambition, and energy, but he would constantly entertain thoughts like, "I'm not ready, I'll never succeed, why bother?" He read books, he listened to advice, he worked hard, yet he felt stuck. The reason was not lack of effort. The reason was not lack of talent. The reason was the chatter inside his own mind. He was feeding the weeds, not the flowers. Once he learned to guard his mind, to recognize the thoughts that lifted him and the ones that dragged him down, his life began to shift. He started each day with intention, protecting the first moments of his mind, and slowly the chaos became clarity, the doubt became determination, and his consistency became unshakable. Guarding your mind is about awareness. It is about noticing the subtle influences that enter your thoughts each day. The endless scrolling on social media, the stories of others that make you compare and despair, the constant noise of fear and uncertainty. It is easy to believe that our thoughts are neutral, but the truth is, they are the architects of our reality. Every doubt you entertain, every worry you indulge, every excuse you allow is constructing a life that is smaller than your potential. And every positive thought, every vision of possibility, every act of courage you choose is building the life you were meant to live. This does not mean ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It means filtering what you allow to influence your mind. It means choosing your inputs carefully, just as a wise gardener selects the seeds to plant. Faith and discipline are born here. Gratitude finds its home here. Courage strengthens in this invisible arena. When you guard your mind, you are not controlling the world, you are controlling your response to it. You are deciding what shapes your character, what fuels your choices, and what sustains your consistency. Many people underestimate the quiet power of the mind. They think success is about talent, luck, or opportunity. But the truth is, opportunity will pass you by if your mind is cluttered. Talent will falter if your mind is distracted. Discipline will crumble if your mind is weak. But a strong mind is a fortress. A strong mind can face rejection without losing hope. A strong mind can endure failure without despair. A strong mind can persist day after day in the face of discomfort, distraction, and doubt. Guarding your mind also means being deliberate about what you consume. The books you read, the conversations you engage in, the media you watch, the company you keep. All of these are seeds planted in your consciousness. Feed your mind with stories of courage, wisdom, service, and faith. Feed it with thoughts that inspire action, that remind you of your worth, that light a spark of possibility. And just as importantly, remove the things that steal your attention, that cultivate fear, that feed comparison or envy. Your mind is precious. Treat it with reverence. Protect it as fiercely as you would protect your most valuable possession. Consistency begins in the mind. Every habit, every ritual, every small action is first imagined, first chosen, first believed. When your mind is guarded, your actions flow naturally. You will wake up with clarity. You will pursue your goals with focus. You will persevere through challenges with patience. And when life tests you, as it always does, your inner fortress will hold. So today, decide to guard your mind. Begin by noticing the thoughts that enter. Question them. Filter them. Replace the ones that weaken you with thoughts that strengthen you. Protect the first moments of your day when your mind is most open, and fill them with faith, gratitude, and vision. Over time, this practice will shape the way you see yourself, the way you act, and the way you live. Remember, the most powerful victories are first won silently, inside the mind. Guard it well, and your life will follow. Every life needs an anchor. Without it, we drift. We wake up each day, follow routines, chase goals, and yet feel empty, lost, or restless. You can work hard, you can strive endlessly, but if there is no purpose behind your actions, even your victories feel hollow. Purpose is not just a word. It is the reason your heart beats. It is the compass that keeps you steady when storms rage. It is the light that guides you when the path seems dark and uncertain. Without purpose, consistency is fragile. With purpose, even the hardest days become meaningful. Even the smallest efforts matter, and even setbacks are lessons that shape your journey. I once met a teacher in a remote village. She walked miles each morning to reach a small classroom with just a handful of students. Her salary was modest. Her resources were few. And yet she radiated joy, peace, and dedication that inspired everyone around her. I asked her, "Why do you endure such difficulty?" She smiled and said, "Because I know that every child I teach carries a world of possibility. Every lesson is a chance to make a difference." Her purpose was bigger than her struggles. It anchored her actions, gave meaning to every step, and turned routine into devotion. When we anchor ourselves in purpose, we too can endure more than we imagined, because we are guided by something deeper than temporary pain or fleeting comfort. Purpose transforms effort into meaning. It turns discipline into joy. When you know why you are doing something, every act, no matter how small, becomes a brick in the foundation of your life. Without purpose, work feels like a burden. Challenges feel like obstacles, and mornings feel heavy. With purpose, even repetitive tasks become sacred. Even struggles become training grounds for character. Even failures become stepping stones toward growth. Purpose is the lens that gives clarity to chaos. It allows you to see the beauty in struggle, the lesson in setbacks, and the potential in effort. Think about it. The most inspiring people in history, the ones we remember, the ones we look up to, they did not achieve greatness by accident. They had an anchor. They had a vision. They had a purpose that pulled them forward when circumstances were against them. Purpose gives consistency its power. It is one thing to try, it is another thing to try with a clear reason, a driving force, a mission that rises above momentary convenience or desire. Anchoring in purpose also protects you from distraction. Life is full of noise. Social media, opinions, comparisons, and endless possibilities can pull you in every direction. Without purpose, you wander, you start projects and abandon them. You chase trends and forget your dreams. You measure yourself against others and lose your own rhythm. Purpose acts as a compass, reminding you where your heart belongs. It helps you prioritize, focus, and say no to what does not matter. When your actions are aligned with purpose, you are no longer swayed by fear, envy, or impatience. You are steady, grounded, and intentional. Purpose also fuels resilience. Life will test you in ways you cannot imagine. You will face disappointment, failure, and heartbreak. You will encounter moments that make you question yourself, your path, and even your worth. In those moments, purpose is what keeps you moving. It whispers, "This is not wasted. This is your journey. This is your work. Keep going." People without purpose give up when the going gets tough. People anchored in purpose endure, adapt, and grow stronger. They understand that every challenge, every setback, every delay is part of a larger plan. Finally, purpose is not selfish. It is not just about your own success or comfort. The most profound purpose often involves service, contribution, and impact. When you anchor in something greater than yourself, your life gains depth. Your actions ripple beyond your own world, touching lives you may never meet. Purpose transforms consistency into legacy. It transforms discipline into devotion. It transforms ordinary days into extraordinary journeys. So, find your anchor. Search deeply for what makes your heart come alive, what stirs your soul, what you would do even if no one watched. Let that anchor guide your mornings, your choices, your work, and your persistence. When purpose becomes the reason for your actions, consistency is no longer a struggle. It becomes natural, powerful, and unstoppable. It is the quiet strength that carries you through doubt, fatigue, and fear. It is the light that keeps your steps steady when the path seems uncertain. And in the end, when you look back on your life, you will not measure it by comfort or ease. You will measure it by the depth of meaning, the impact of your actions, and the courage with which you live guided by purpose. Anchor yourself. Let purpose guide your steps, and you will discover that consistency, joy, and fulfillment are not distant dreams, but natural companions on the journey of a life well lived. Too often, we measure success by what the world can see. We chase applause, recognition, and validation, believing that only the visible achievements matter. Yet life is built not on the moments everyone notices, but on the moments that happen quietly, in silence, when no one is watching. These are the invisible wins, the small acts of courage, persistence, and discipline that do not make headlines but quietly shape our destiny. To overlook them is to overlook the very foundation of progress. I remember meeting a young teacher who worked in a remote village. Her classrooms were small, her students often distracted, and her pay was modest. Every morning she woke before sunrise, walked miles to her school, and taught children who sometimes barely listened. No one praised her, no one applauded her effort, yet she persisted. Year after year, she poured herself into her work, day after day, lesson after lesson, and slowly, almost invisibly, change happened. Children began to learn, confidence blossomed, lives were transformed. These invisible wins, the quiet seeds of effort, ultimately created results far greater than any grand gesture could achieve. The invisible wins are all around us. Every time you resist the urge to give up, that is a win. Every time you honor your commitment, even when it feels thankless, that is a win. Every time you choose to be kind, to show patience, to extend understanding, even when no one notices, that is a win. These moments may seem small, ordinary, or even insignificant, but they are powerful. They accumulate like drops of water filling a reservoir. One day, those drops overflow into a river of transformation. Gratitude is key to recognizing these wins. Too often, we focus only on what hasn't been achieved, on the gap between where we are and where we want to be. And in doing so, we ignore all the progress we have already made. To celebrate the invisible wins is to pause, to acknowledge the effort, the courage, the persistence that might otherwise go unnoticed. It is to say to yourself, I see you. I honor what I have done, even if the world does not. This simple act strengthens the mind, fortifies the heart, and fuels the spirit to keep going. Faith grows in these moments too. When you invest in effort without immediate reward, when you plant seeds without knowing what will sprout, you practice trust. You learn that life responds not always in the visible, but in the unseen. Just as roots grow beneath the soil long before a tree bears fruit, your invisible wins prepare the ground for future success. They teach patience, perseverance, and belief in the process, reminding you that true progress often happens behind the scenes. The invisible wins also teach humility. They remind us that not every action needs applause, not every achievement needs recognition, and not every effort will be validated externally. There is dignity in doing what is right even when it goes unnoticed. There is power in consistency even when it feels thankless. There is growth in every quiet victory, in every act of discipline, in every choice to show up when the world seems indifferent. Sometimes we forget that the journey itself is a reward. We focus so intensely on the destination that we miss the daily victories, the small habits, the tiny improvements, the steady accumulation of effort. But it is precisely in these moments that character is built, resilience is strengthened, and purpose is deepened. Every step taken, every choice honored, every challenge met quietly, all of this forms the invisible architecture of your success. So celebrate them. Celebrate when you complete a task that no one sees. Celebrate when you rise early and stick to your plan. Celebrate when you resist an old habit or cultivate a new one. Celebrate the courage it takes to keep going when motivation wanes. Each of these wins may be invisible to others, but they are monumental in shaping the person you are becoming. Remember, the world will not always recognize your effort, but your effort is never wasted. Every small, unseen action is laying the foundation for your dreams. Every silent victory is strengthening your mind, your character, and your life. The invisible wins are the quiet architects of your destiny, the hidden sparks that will eventually ignite a blaze of visible success. So look carefully. Notice the small victories. Cherish the moments no one applauds. Honor the effort that feels invisible, because in doing so, you will discover a secret truth. Life is not built on grand gestures alone. It is built on the quiet, faithful, and consistent actions that transform ordinary days into extraordinary lives. Celebrate the invisible wins, for they are the true measure of progress, the silent proof of resilience, and the foundation upon which greatness is quietly constructed. Consistency is not a spark, it is a chain. And a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. One day you may feel like skipping, one day the excuses may feel louder than your purpose, one day the world may test your resolve. That day is the day that determines everything, because consistency is cumulative. It is the invisible thread that ties today to tomorrow, effort to results, dreams to destiny. Break the chain once and it is easy to break it again. Keep it unbroken and it grows stronger, weaving a fabric of discipline that can carry you anywhere. I remember a story of a musician who wanted to master the piano. He made a simple promise to himself: practice every day, no matter what, even for just 10 minutes. Some days it felt impossible. Life was busy, energy was low, distractions were many. There were moments when he questioned if it mattered, but he did not break the chain. Even the smallest effort counted. Even when he played scales slowly, or made mistakes, or felt uninspired, he practiced. Day after day, month after month, the chain remained unbroken. And one day, without even realizing it, he played a piece flawlessly that once seemed impossible. It was not one great day that made him a musician. It was one faithful day after another. That is the power of never breaking the chain. The chain is built not through inspiration, but through commitment. Motivation comes and goes, excitement fades, energy ebbs and flows. But discipline endures. Discipline does not ask how you feel today. It does not negotiate with your mood or your fatigue. Discipline is simple: show up, make the choice, take the step. Every time you honor the chain, you are reinforcing a habit. Every time you honor the chain, you are telling your subconscious mind that you are someone who follows through. And habits, when accumulated over years, create character, and character creates destiny. It is in the ordinary days, the quiet moments, the unseen efforts that the chain is forged. Nobody sees your morning runs when it is dark outside. Nobody witnesses your extra hour spent learning, your notes written late at night, your practice when nobody is clapping. But every unbroken link matters. Faith, perseverance, and greatness are cultivated in these invisible victories. The world rewards results, but it honors those who respect the process. Those who never break the chain eventually find that the chain carries them further than they could have imagined. Breaking the chain is easy. Life will tempt you. There will always be a reason to pause: fatigue, distractions, doubts, setbacks, criticism. These are not failures, they are tests. The real failure is breaking the chain. Once you break it, hesitation becomes habitual. Once you break it, excuses become normalized. But if you resist the temptation, if you honor the chain even when it is hard, even when the reward seems distant, you are building strength far beyond the immediate results. You are building resilience. You are building faith in yourself. You are proving to yourself and to the world that you are someone who follows through. Every great accomplishment, every success story, every life of influence is built on chains that were never broken. The athletes who win gold, the artists who create masterpieces, the leaders who inspire millions, they all have one thing in common: they kept showing up, even when nobody saw, even when nobody believed.